What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I am back from the brink of death. This last 4 days have not been good, and so I decided to make a video about the trek through hell that I just came back from, because I think that it is something that many of you experience in life when you run 19 NOR compounds, and is very likely one of the reasons that you've chosen to never run them again. And so, since I just survived a harrowing experience that I'm blowing a little bit out of proportion here for effect, I wanted to, explain what happened and how you can mitigate this before you just decide that 19 NOR drugs are not for you. I'm also experimenting with some new lighting, so we'll see how this goes. So, as you know, I was running 300 milligrams of Tren E, 500 milligrams of Test E, and 300 milligrams of Masteron E per day, and I had everything dialed in to the sweet spot again perfectly. I was feeling life. Everything was good. And then I made a video talking about how amazing things have been going on my wife's primo cycle, which, as predicted, cursed the cycle and caused us to go into a many days period long fight about some dumb shit. Somewhere before or around that event, I got the wise idea to raise my fucking Trenbolone dose 350 milligrams per week instead of 300 milligrams a week, which of course upset the balance of all the ancillary drugs I was taking. So, at 500 milligrams of Test E, I take 3 milligrams of Arimidex, and that puts me in the sweet spot. That puts my estrogen at high normal so that I'm super fucking horny all the time, ready to go, crazy libido. That's where I like to be. That's my fucking sweet spot at 500. At 300 milligrams of Trenbolone E, I run 1/4 milligram of Caber every other day. I have suspected for some time that this keeps me also in the high normal, but it's enough to prevent Deca dick, which is the primary reason that I use the Caber to begin with. What some of you may or may not know is that the extreme, dark, horrific, abyss-like depression and suicidal ideation that you can fall into on 19 NOR cycles is also caused by the progestin/prolactin system in your body. One of the things that seems to be the case, at least in my anatomy, is that when prolactin gets slightly elevated, I have the Deca dick problems. And then if I don't address that quickly and the level continues to rise, it will cause me to sink into the deepest, darkest fucking place imaginable. It is literally like living in hell on earth. I cannot find any pleasure in any part of my life at all. And it's weird because it's not your typical depression. It's not like a causal type of depression where it's like my cat died, my girlfriend broke up with me, I lost my job. Something where you can definitively point the finger at like, oh my God, that's objectively a shitty thing to happen, and so I'm feeling bad about this. This is like a life-consuming existential crisis type of depression where you just become basically obsessed with the darkness of the world around you. Like I see a bombing in Gaza, or we're attacking Houthi rebels, or the fucking people are flooding across the border, or some girl gets killed by an immigrant. You read some girl got molested by her fucking stepdad. Like all of the negative things that you can read in the press or see on social media or experience in some way in life, it's like you lose your ability to be subjective and just go, that's not me, that's not my problem, I can't do anything with that. Yes, that's sad, but I can't be consumed by it. Every negative thing that you read or experience just gets stuck to you and it will not go away. And it's just like everything in my life starts haunting me. And then I start spiraling into this depression where I almost feel complicit in all of the horrible things that are happening in the world because I voted for a particular politician, or because I'm not on the border, you know, stringing up razor wire, or because somehow it's this insane thing that happens where suddenly you internalize the entire world's suffering, and you just can't escape it. And it's just like this weight that pulls you down into this dark place, and it feels like you're fucking drowning. Because every time you try to console yourself and you go, like the only thing that you can say to console yourself is, well, that's not my problem. It's not happening to me. You can't deny the fact that the world is in a horrible state of affairs. Like, just about everything that could possibly be going wrong in our world is going wrong right now. And there's no denying that fact. And so when you're in this state of super amped up, like, what's the drive? Sympathetic drive, and you're blowing everything out of proportion because the trend is just enhancing everything to the maximum, there's just no escape from your own reality. And the truth is that reality is really fucking dark. It's really miserable. And we all know it, and we just have to fucking kind of put our heads in the sand and ignore it. I mean, during the making of this video, some number of children are gonna get raped and molested. You know, right now as I speak, there is some person somewhere that is screaming in agony in a fucking twisted hunk of steel on the side of the road because some drunk driver just hit them, and they're never going to see their family members again. Like, if you get caught up in the horrors of the world that we're living in, you will just get sucked into an abyss of which there is no escape. And that's where I just came from. I got sucked into it so badly that I was, for a period of a day or two, the closest I've ever been to like punching my fucking ticket out of here. And when I mean the closest, I'm not like talking like cry for help kind of shit. I'm talking about I had a full plan of how I was going to do it, where I was going to do it. I'd been going over the fucking finances to find out exactly how much money I was leaving with my wife. You know, I had already kind of started having conversations about how she might be able to take care of herself in my absence. I'd been behaving in certain ways around my children to kind of set the stage for, you know, if suddenly daddy wasn't here anymore. Like, this was like end stage shit that you would expect to be thinking and doing literally before you fucking take the final step. And then it got so bad the other night in the midst of a fight that my wife and I were having that I walked out the fucking door at 4:30 in the morning to go for a walk through my neighborhood, like walking in the direction of the location that I had picked out to fucking end it all. And I really honestly didn't know if I was gonna come back. I really didn't fucking care. And thankfully, it was during that walk and listening to some music and, you know, maybe just having an outlet for the sympathetic drive was enough to kind of like knock me down a notch and get me to realize, like, bro, you cannot be making decisions of this gravity in this stage of the game. And that's kind of a rule that my wife and I try to stick to, is that we don't make major life decisions, especially when one or both of us is coming up on fucking gear. We used to have a rule that we didn't make any major life decisions on trend, which is impossible now because I'm on trend year fucking round. But we certainly don't make life decisions to the best of our ability when one of us is blasting, or when doses are not stable, if there's been a history, you know, a recent history of fighting or discord or dissonance or signs and symptoms that somebody's hormones are fucking out of whack. That's where we try to have a rule that we don't make any life decisions during that situation, because otherwise, you know, just be back to what you guys used to see on the channel all the time. It's like every other week we're getting fucking divorced. And that'd be the cause of it, because it was just like all this crazy shit happens, and then you just fly off the fucking handle. And if you're gonna survive doing gear for long periods of time in the way that I do it, you have to have certain ground rules. And so those are the ground rules that we agreed on. And so that's where I kind of got my head back on my shoulders and committed to trying to solve the fucking problem. So I increased my cabergoline dose from 0.75 milligrams per week to 1.25 milligrams per week. And sure enough, within a matter of a few fucking days, the dark cloud that had been following me around and the fucking Grim Reaper that was like literally attached to my fucking ankle. In fact, you guys might have seen, if you follow me on Instagram, when I posted the other night that picture of the Grim Reaper and said, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" That's the fuck that meant. Like, I was so far gone that I was just praying for a heart attack. Like, I was just praying for anything to happen to me to where I wouldn't have to like actually be the cause of my own demise. Like, I was literally just hoping something I didn't care if I got mugged, run over by like anything, just take me out of here. And so if you saw that Instagram post, that's when I was in like the depths of that shit. And then sure enough, you get Caber back into the system, knock the prolactin levels down, and now the birds are singing, the fucking air is warm. My wife and I went out to a nice dinner last night. She put on a pretty dress and we went and played with the fucking kids and had fucking great sex, and things are starting to right themselves. They're not all the way back, but I'm off the fucking, I've at least pulled myself off the ledge at this point. And so I just wanted to make this video for a couple of reasons. One, to express why I haven't been here. And two, to assure you that if you've ever been through this with a 19-nor drug, or even like oxymethylone, anadrol can cause prolactin issues, it is not real. The problems that you may be obsessing over, you know, it is undeniable that our world is all fucked up and possibly beyond repair. But the way you are feeling about it is 100% caused by a hormonal imbalance that you have the power to control. If you happen to be a person that's like, dude, fuck this is a dumpster fire, I'm not ever taking Tren or 19-nors because I don't want to have to cope with this, fair enough. In fact, I just read an article in Bodybuilding Magazine or online. It was pro bodybuilder James Hollingshead. Is it Hollingshead? Hollingshed? I don't know. He talked pretty candidly about the cycle that he was on, his off-season cycle, and then his transition into his prep cycle. And off-season, he said he was running 750 milligrams of test, 400 milligrams of Deca, and he said in the article that he had experienced something very similar to what I just laid out for you, and that he decided that he was just never going to fucking run Deca again. It's kind of hard to imagine that a guy at that level of, of his pro career doesn't have anybody in his camp that can tell him, like, dude, it's just prolactin, get some fucking Caber and let's keep the party rolling. But, maybe that's just not what you want to do. And if you're wired in such a way that you just don't want to struggle with compounds that cause these kind of problems, fair enough, more power to you. But if you're wired like me to where you want to get, the joint support that Deca gives, and you want to get that Tren aesthetic and that Tren aesthetic and the aggression and the drive and the protein sparing, if you want to get all of the things that you can get from these compounds, the name of the fucking game is ancillaries. All of the problems that you are experiencing on any one of these compounds is caused by not managing your fucking ancillary drugs properly. Wet compounds are going to lead to fucking massive estrogen problems, and that's what's going to make you hate that compound. Compounds like 19-nors will lead to massive prolactin and progesterone problems, and that's what will cause you to think and hate and think that the compound is terrible and hate its effects. If you manage your estrogen and you manage your prolactin, you can run any of these compounds in any doses you want for any length of time you want and have a good experience. As long as you are willing to accept that you very likely are going to have some days like I just had when you're getting shit dialed in, and it takes a substantial amount of mental fortitude to come out of that, and a hell of a lot of support from friends and family members, because, bro, that shit is no fucking joke. It scares me to think how many people might have been right where I was and didn't have the support and fucking aren't here anymore because of it. And so, you know, it is definitely fucking no joke. Generally, this is something that would only happen in that 9 to 10 week mark, and I thought I had it kicked, and then I fucked with my dose and found out that I didn't. So there you have it. I don't want to ramble on too long in this video. I just wanted to let you guys know why I've been away from the camera for a few days and to share that personal experience, because I think that there's probably gonna be a lot of people who are watching this video who have experienced the exact same thing. If you have, then just know that there is a solution to it one way or the other. You know, get Caber if you're running 19 NORs. Stop listening to the bullshit that people tell you. It is not a harsh drug. I have never had a single side effect from it that's even noticeable. And I notice fucking everything. So please don't be scared of Caber. Obviously, it's not medical advice. You know, my body reacts differently to everybody. Certainly don't break the law. Don't do anything I'm telling you. But for me, it is an absolute staple for any 19 NOR compound, and it makes the unbearable bearable. And then you can get a hell of a lot of gains and have a hell of a lot of fun with these compounds if you run them and manage them properly. So there you have it. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.